Good afternoon everyone, welcome to the seminar forum. Today I'm going to present my research proposal. But before that, the Honorable the Dean of Faculty of Teacher Training and Education, the Honorable the Chairman of English Education Study Program, the Honorable the Secretary of English Education Study Program, the Honorable my advisor, the Honorable my reviewer, the Honorable all my lecturer, and the Honorable all the audience who's attending and follow this seminar. Let me introduce myself. My name is Laoli. My register number 1921081108. Today I'm going to present my research proposal and the title, An Analysis of Students' Ability to Answer Reading Question with Higher Order Thinking Skills or HOTS at the 11th grade of SMK Negeri 1 Gunung Sidoli, Aloha. Alright, I was divided my research proposal into 3 groups. The first is chapter 1 is talking about the introduction, chapter 2 is talking about literature review, and chapter 3 talking about research methods. Let's discuss it one by one. First is chapter 1, background of the problems. The critical and creative thinking skills are important ability associated with education in 21st century, and the critical and creative thinking skills is crucial things to be honored in this era. The critical thinking is intellectual discipline, process of active and skillfully conceptualizing, analyzing, applying, synthesizing, or evaluating information, whether or generated by experience, observation, reasoning, reflection, or communication as guide to belief and action. Shortly, the critical thinking, the ability to think rationally and clearly about what should be done or what to believe. The critical and creative thinking skills are urgently needed in utilizing the students' knowledge for problem solving and decision making in various parts of life. The aims of creative thinking skills is to synthesize ideas, generate new ideas, and determine the effectiveness of the exciting ideas. Creativity is operationalized as a combination of fluency, innovations, and novelty and imaginations. Thinking differently and critical thinking are very important for students to make decisions when they face several options. The critical and creative thinking skills can be obtained of students by developing the reading skills. Those thinking skills can only be achieved by the students with developing their reading skills, which demands that students to understand spoken words and decode written words that culminate to deep understanding for the text. As we know, reading is one of the important skills and must be mastered by the students. By reading, the students can understand a text, exploring meaning, purpose, and message conveyed in the text. Not only does it really help the students when they need to study for exam, but reading also can help the students to improve their reading ability. The 2013 curriculum is the government's implementation to realize the goals of national education, which is to produce a generation that excels in knowledge and skills. Based on the curriculum 2013, the teacher should develop the higher order thinking skills or HOTS in the teaching learning process to train the students' ability to think critically and creatively. One of the learning goals through HOTS is to make sure that students can analyze, evaluate, and create their knowledge. The use of various questions types is one of the tools used by the teacher to measure students' understanding of a subject that is taken. The types of questions used in the classroom play a significant role in the process of teaching and learning, as it affects the students' achievement and also levels of engagement. Question coupled with higher order thinking skills makes questions more effective and are believed to help students develop their critical thinking level. As we know, learning using HOT system is a good way to developing students' thinking skills, but in reality, there are some schools do not apply, and even there are many teachers not understanding this HOTS learning, thus making the students' thinking skills very slow. Based on the finding of the fact when I'm doing the internship at the school, there are some problems faced by the students to answer the reading questions. First is the students cannot identify what is the correct answer of the question. The second, the students' capacity to work on HOTS question is still lacking. Another fact that we can find in many schools is that there are several schools and teachers who ignore HOTS learning. To overcome this problem, there needs to be an effort from the teacher to improve students' ability to work on HOTS questions. Likewise, the teacher must be able to support student thinking abilities. Okay, let's continue focus of the research. The focus of the research are to analyze what are the students' difficulties while answering HOTS questions and what are the factors that make students still do mistakes when answer the reading question with higher order thinking skills at the 11th grade of SMK Negeri 1 Gunung Story Aloha. While formulation of the problems in this research are what are the students' difficulties while answering HOTS questions and what are the factors that make students still do mistakes when answer reading questions with higher order thinking skills at the 11th grade of SMK Negeri 1 Gunung Story Aloha. Okay, the objective of the research. The aims of this research are: the first is to analyze what are the students' difficulties while answering HOTS questions, and the second is to investigate what are the factors that make students still do mistakes when answer the reading questions with higher order thinking skill at the 11th grade of SMK Negeri 1 Gunung Story Aloha. Okay, the significance of the research. The significance of the research consists of two. The first is theoretically and practically. Alright, let's continue to the next chapter. Chapter 2, talking about review of literature. Reading is a thinking process to catch the sense of text and taking the sense of language in education file, where the students need to enlightenment when reading process as the ability of human mind or intellectual can succeed to comprehend the text. Reading is related with daily life because people read many kinds of written material such as newspaper, magazine, academic book, and so on. Most of the students think reading is very difficult because they have no ability and deep meaning about reading. For instance, when the process of reading a text. Reading is an active process that takes a lot of practice and expertise to master. Here, there are some the purpose of the reading. The first is reading to search for simple information, speed reading to get relevant information, and the last reading for the purpose of learning from the text. So here we can conclude that the purpose of reading is to find out the information of the text and recognize meaning. Ability to read a word is useless if the learner is unable to dedicate meaning from the text. Okay, let's continue about higher order thinking skills or HOTS. There are 4 thinking skills, namely problem solving, decision making, thinking critically, and creative thinking. In preparing the students to achieve critical and creative thinking, the teacher should be based the learning to Bloom taxonomy, which has 6 levels of cognitive domains. They are remembering, understanding, applying, analyzing, evaluating, and creating. So what is HOTS? HOTS is the higher level of thinking than just memorizing facts, finding facts, or applying rules. The main purpose of emergence of HOTS is to improve the students' thinking ability at a higher level, especially those related to the ability to think critically and receiving various information. Think creatively in solving a problem, using the knowledge they have and make decisions in complex situations. There are 3 levels of HOTS, which are analyzing, evaluating, and creating. As we know, HOTS is the ability to think that is not just remembering, retesting, or referring without processing. What's question means your ability. The first is transfer a concept to another concept. Second, processing and applying information. The third, looking for the links from different informations. Fourth, using information to solve the problems. And the last, critically examine ideas and information. Okay, let's continue to the next chapter. It's talking about the chapter 3, research method. The first is approach and types of the research. The approach used by the researcher in this study is the qualitative research. A qualitative approach is a research procedure that produces descriptive data in form of written and spoken words of people who can be observed. The qualitative research method is the research method that can be used to explore and understand the meaning that comes from social or human problems. The qualitative research process involves important efforts such as asking questions, developing procedures, collecting specific data from information or participant, analyzing data inductive reduction, verifying and interpreting or capturing meaning from the context of the problems under study. The qualitative research applies an inductive perspective focused on individual meaning and translate to the complexity of an issue. While the types of the research process is descriptive. Study descriptive research is research that seeks to describe certain problem solving based on the data. The goals of descriptive approach is to consolidate people's behavior and collect their views, options, and beliefs about an education topic. The subject of the research is 11th grade of SMK Negeri 1 Gunung Surya Luwa in academic year 2020 through 2023. Okay, let's continue the variables of the research. In this study, the researcher determined two variables that influence each other. The dependent variables in this study is reading questions, while the dependent variables is higher order thinking skills. In this case, the researcher used these two variables to find out how the higher order thinking skills influence students' ability to answer reading questions. Okay, let's continue source of the data. In the research, the researcher defined the source of the data into two. The first is primary data and secondary data. The instruments of the research is observation, test, interview, and documentation. Right, let's continue to the data collection technique. Here in this research, the researcher used three types of data collection technique. The first is observation, the second is interview, and the last is documentation. The data analysis technique, they consist of three kinds. The first is data redaction, data display, and the overview of conclusion and verification. Alright, that's all my explanation about my research proposal. Thank you.